Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. My name is Jessica, and this Kiwi has a really big TBR this month. So, for a short month this month, I really do have quite a stacked TBR, and this is all planned, but it will be a busy month. I'll read as much as I can this month and try and have a bit of a lighter month next month, but we'll see how that goes. So as I discussed in my last video, the TBR for this month is going to be a little bit different. We are not pulling books from out of the jar this month, but instead it is all planned, and that's just to get the most out of my stack. Before we talk about them, don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe. Show me some of that reading love for Romance Month, and let's get into it. So to begin with, I want to give a shout out to Kim again from Expedition Through Pages. She has started this month with the Tale of Two Trails TBR game, and so I want to start that one off because there have been a couple of books that I managed to read at the very end of January that go on to that TBR. We start on the 25th of each month, and we have been split into two teams. I am on Team B. Go Team B. We're going to win this, and so we'll go through the prompts from there.
Okay, cool. So let's find out what the first prompts are going to be for this month. So time for Team B's roll number 1. 5. Yes, already in the lead. 1, 2, 3, whoop, 4, 5.
Outrageous.
And this is to...
Do you mind?
So this is to randomize your music in any kind of way, and whatever song comes up, that's the song that you use as a prompt.
So for Team B, our first prompt was to randomize our music playlist, and it could have been on any platform. And so I did that, and you'll see some footage of that right now. And the song that I got was Paralyzer by Finger 11, with the album of Them versus You versus Me. And so for that, I have chosen to read Serpent and the Wings of Night. And that's just because Paralyzer, like the vibe of the song kind of gives me a dark, vampire, seductive, but also battle kind of vibes. And so that's the reason why I chose to read that book. This book is about a human who has been adopted by a vampire king. She's determined to make a name for herself instead of just being prey. And so she enters this tournament with a whole bunch of other vampires from all the different vampire houses. So in order to survive in this tournament, she needs to make an alliance with who I'm assuming is the love interest, considering this is a romantasy. And that's about all I know about this. I am really looking forward to reading this one. I have heard mixed reviews. People either love it or they hate it.
Time for roll number 2 for Team B. 4, yes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is seasonal pick. Then Team B's second prompt was seasonal read, and so that means if you live in the northern hemisphere, then it's winter, and southern hemisphere, it's summer. Yeah, so just wherever you live, whatever season it is, just pick up a book that is seasonal to you.
So our second prompt for The Tale of Two Trails was the seasonal prompt, and for that I actually already finished it as of the 30th of January, and that was The Great Gatsby. And I chose this because it's summer in New Zealand at the moment, and the book is set over a summer period. I already talked about The Great Gatsby in my wrap-up video for January, so do go and watch that if you haven't already for my opinions on that one.
So time for the final roll for Team B. I really hope that this prompt is a new one, because none of them so far have been new. 2. And it is. 1, 2. So this one is Wordle. So we're going to play Wordle, and whatever the word is, that's going to be our prompt. Right then, now it's my turn to play Wordle. So let's go. So 5-letter word to start. It really gives you nothing. I thought it gave you at least one letter. Let's go front. Oh, how do you enter? Oh, this way.
It's got a T.
It's got a T.
But in the wrong place.
In the wrong place. Okay, so a 5-letter word that starts with T.
Table.
Table.
Hasn't got any of those letters in it.
Okay. Enter. Right, T's in the right place. E and A. If it's teams, that would be amazing. No. Let's just pick another word that's got 5 letters, that has different letters, so then narrows it down. So I'm just putting chair in because I want to know if I's there. No. That was a silly thing to do. I feel like there's not a lot that can go after T. What's TW words? Are there TW words other than tweak? I'm putting tweak.
Oh, tweak. Yeah, T-W-E-A-K.
It's not tweak. Oh, that's not a word.
Tweak is a word.
Wait, T-W-E-A-K?
T-W-E-A-K.
It's tweak!
Yay!
So the third prompt that we got was the Wordle prompt, which Kim played Wordle, and the word was tweak. And so we had to read a book that had the word tweak or had something to do with tweaking something in it. And so for this one, again, I already read this as of the 31st of January, and that was in my January wrap up. I chose Go Hex Yourself because in this, the main character is very obviously OCD, and the nephew of the witch kind of catches on to this, and he deliberately tweaks a lid of a jar just to kind of gauge her reaction.
Okay, so, and Team B's activity for the month, what did we land on? Tweak. It's not going to be tweak. So the activity for you guys this month is to one day in... What are you trying to say?
I was just going to say you could slightly tweak the word tweak to twerk. And so they could be... No.
That is not the activity. The activity for you guys is to one day during this next month of gameplay, play Wordle, and then whatever that word is, recommend a book to us in some way.
So for the activity that was associated with this round, we were given the activity to play Wordle ourselves because it was based off the third prompt, and from there we were to recommend a book to Kim. The word that I got was ether, and I'm very happy that I actually guessed it because my Wordle playing abilities are just so. But I chose Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake for her to read, just because it had the word ether in the title. In the description of that, looks like it deals with some pretty heavy themes of mental health. We have Regan and Aldo who meet in an art institute and ultimately start having some pretty interesting conversations. So for A Tale of Two Trials, I don't actually have a whole lot that I need to read for this round. The only one I need to read is Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, which will be easy enough because the rest of the stack is about to come up. So February's buzzword for Buzzwordathon by Books and Lala is to read a book with a positive word in it, or a positive word in the title. And so I chose to read Passion by Lauren Kate. This is book 3 in the Fallen series. It follows Luce, who has died over and over and over again. And every time she comes back, she falls in love for the same person. And her reincarnation usually dies at around 17 years old, when they have their first kiss, or just whenever that happens. But in this life, for some reason, she hasn't died. So this book follows her a little bit more deeper into finding out what's going on. I'm not gonna lie, I'm passionate about getting this off my bookshelf. The first book was meh. The second book was poo. However, I have heard that the series does start getting a lot better from this book onwards, so we will see. And yes, I will finish the series, because once I start a series, I cannot stop. So our Kiwi book of the month, which I'm so excited about because it's one of my favourite books, is The Raging Quiet by Cheryl Jordan. And this is one of the only books, if not the only book, that ever has stuck with me since high school. And this follows Marnie, who has been forced to marry some old dude, and they move far away from her family to a new village. And in this village, she makes friends with a local who's treated as a possessed madman. He's actually deaf. So they begin to communicate in a form of sign language that they create by themselves. And this catches the attention of the village, and throughout the story, they're suspected of being involved in witchcraft. And it's such a lovely story about friendship and relationships, and there is some sad parts to it as well. I don't want to spoil it. So yeah, it's kind of a young adult, middle grade romance type thing, friendship romance type thing, but it's just so lovely and wholesome. This is absolutely going to be a reread for me, and I'm absolutely stoked to get to it. So, Bookemon. Here we go. This is going to be a stack. We have, for the monthly Bookemon, February is to read a book with a vampire in it. And I am sorry to all the Twilight lovers, I am not subjecting myself to that again. So I chose Let Me In, by some dude. I will put his name up here. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. And this follows a boy named Oscar who finds a body that is exsanguinated. Yes, I used that word, exsanguinated. And while he navigates his fascination with the murder, he learns that he has a new neighbour. And she's a strange person. She can solve a Rubik's Cube without ever having seen one, and just like that, I'm kind of jealous, actually. But she also only comes out at night. This book is described as horrific and gritty, and I think it will be an interesting change from the emerging theme of the month being romance. So for my chicken prompt, which is to read a book with yellow or orange and black and white on the cover, I have chosen If You Have to Be Haunted. And this follows Kara, a girl who is navigating high school while being one of the only people to be able to see ghosts. And when she finds a classmate's body in the woods, and his ghost's things become a little more complicated as she tries to break an ancient legend. Try and say that 5 times fast. This is a romantasy, and I'm assuming enemies to lovers because I have started reading this already, and as of now, they hate each other with a behemoth passion. So that'll be really interesting. Haven't heard much about this one. I've heard the name floating around BookTube, but I haven't heard a lot of reviews about it. So this will be quite interesting. So for my volcanic prompt, which is to read a book in a book club, I have chosen Midnight Society's book called My Husband by Maud Ventura. And this is a romance literary fiction, and it's kind of like a thriller as well. And it follows a wife who is so obsessed with her husband. But he doesn't quite show that same passion. There's that word again. He doesn't quite show that same level of attention that she shows to him. And after 15 years of marriage, she's still head over heels in love with him and just as obsessed. And so she ends up planning every single encounter that she has with him. Sounds like there's a bit of her training him to be more passionate. Yeah, I'm not sure. There are parts of this premise that sound quite disturbing. It could take quite a dark turn. I think there could be some mental health things going on here as well. I'm not sure, but it does sound really interesting. And so my next one that I want to read is Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and this is for the first legendary sword prompt, which is to read a retelling of a story that is over 250 pages. And we have to read 6 of them within as many months. And so Hooked is a Peter Pan retelling, sort of. I say sort of with a caveat. It says in the blurb directly, a collection of fractured fairy tales where the villains get the happy ever after. It is not a literal retelling and not a fantasy. So this may be a bit of a stretch, but I am counting it. And this is the first book in the Never After series, a group of dark romance novels. This one follows Wendy and James. So she walks into his bar one night and he sees an opportunity to get his revenge on the competitor or enemy who is named Peter, who owns his own airline company. And Wendy is Peter's daughter in this retelling. And so James decides to seduce Wendy in order to get to Peter. This one will be really interesting. I haven't read a lot of dark romance. I don't think I've read any dark romance, but it has been a genre I've been wanting to dip my toes into. I know Jamie from Jamie's Library, shout out to Jamie, quite enjoyed it. She gave it 4 stars if I remember correctly. But apart from that, I haven't really heard a lot about it through BookTube, so it'll be fun. So these books are a little lower down on the priority list for me. If they don't get read, I'm not going to be too worried about it. But the first one is for the Krill prompt, and that is to read a book with a crustacean on the cover, and I chose to read A Witch's Journey by Tina Stetler. And this is a romance novel that centers around Pepper, who is a witch and a wildlife sanctuary worker in Salem. She inherits a property in Lobster Cove, and then she starts to dream big about building a wildlife and rehab sanctuary for animals on that property. And so she starts doing that, and she has a handyman who helps her, and handyman and her, and yeah, they grow rather fond of each other. While they form a relationship, they work to make Pepper's dream come true. This is purely for the Bookemon prompt. I don't really have any expectations, given that it has a whole 62 ratings and 33 reviews on Goodreads. I'm partway through this book already, and I've described it to a few people as the definition of a trashy romance novel. It is Mills and Bones meet bad editing. So that'll be interesting. So the next books that I would like to read this month, and I really want to read them this month because it falls into the romance category. They are dark romances. It is The Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. So that is Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. I know absolutely nothing about this book, and it is going to stay that way. I have heard that it's a dark romance type, stalker type situation, but that is all I know. I want to go into these books completely blind. These are books that people either love or hate. I've noticed in local groups in New Zealand that sell books that these ones do sell particularly high, and they sell really quick as well. So they're really highly sought after, at least over here. So I want to read them, find out what all of that hype is about. So Red, White, and Royal Blue is the next book that I would like to get read this month. And that is to fulfill the tiara prompt for Bookemon, which is to read a book with royalty in it. And this follows the British royal family and the President of the United States, or it follows their sons, sorry. And these two have hated each other for the longest time, but they are still required to, make good impressions at big events and things like that. It just so happens that one of these events, tabloids expose a confrontation between the two of them, and this kind of threatens the relations and the relationships between the two countries. And so they have been told to appear friendly on cameras, and this fake friendship campaign to repair the damage eventually sparks into actually being friends, and then sparks into being more than friends. The rest is history from there. I am really looking forward to this one. I've heard great things about this. I've had friends absolutely obsess over this one. So I'm finally about to read it, and I feel like it's going to be a treat. So that is my February TBR. It is going to be huge. I will try and get all of them read, but we will see. Comment down below with a heart emoji if you got this far, and let me know whether you've read any of these books and what your romance faves are. Have a great day or night from wherever you are in the world, and until next time, bye.